Alright, this video covers angle relationships where all the angles share a common vertex. So first we're going to talk about adjacent angles. Adjacent angles do not overlap. You're going to have one angle directly next to each other. Notice how the blue angle's next to the red angle. They share a common vertex. That red dot is where they both intersect. The tips of both angles are right there. And also they share a common ray. The ray between them, this one that just turned red, is the ray that they share. And that's adjacent angles, basically angles that are next to each other and don't overlap. Vertical angles. Vertical angles are created by two intersecting lines. So here's two intersecting lines, and here is their intersection point right here, which also serves as the vertex for each of these angles that are created. They're non-adjacent, so vertical angles are not neighbor angles. They're across from each other. These two red angles are vertical to each other. These two blue angle arcs represent these other vertical angles. They share a common vertex. They have that common intersection. They all have the same tip. And they're always congruent. So the two red angles, if this was measured 50 degrees, this other red angle would be 50 degrees. This blue angle, if it was 120, this other one would be 120 down here. And that's vertical angles. Supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are two angles where the sum of their measurements is 180 degrees. So if you had this angle being 50 degrees, this angle, since they both lie on the same line, hopefully you remember that any straight line has an angle measurement of 180 degrees. So that's where this is all coming from. You have this ray coming off, this is 50 degrees. Well, we could figure out this one, we could think, this is 130 because 130 and 50 add up to 180. And that's all you're doing. Supplementary angles add up to 180. They can be adjacent and non-adjacent. For what we're doing in the examples today, they'll be adjacent, but you can also have them as non-adjacent. Complementary angles are a lot like supplementary angles, except now, instead of adding up to 180 degrees, they add up to 90 degrees. So if they tell you that this is 30, and you see this little block in here, hopefully you remember that means a 90 degree angles of this one outer angle here. But if this is 30, you could figure out that this is 60 because 60 and 30 make 90. And once again, complementary angles can be adjacent or non-adjacent. For what we're doing in these examples, most of them are going to be adjacent. So now we're going to apply what we've just learned. We're going to figure out some of these missing angle measurements. They give us this picture. They give us that this angle is 55 degrees. We're going to figure out the other angle measurements. Now some kids are going to want to say, oh, I'm going to get my protractor and figure these out. You don't want to use a protractor. You want to use the information given to you in the picture and then take it from there. So if this is 55 degrees, you could say that this other angle over here is vertical to it, so that's also going to be 55 degrees. We also learned about supplementary angles. Supplementary angles adding up to 180. If two angles lie on the same line, they're going to add up to 180. So we could think 55 plus something is 180. That's going to have to be 125. And if this angle is 125, we could also say this angle down here is 125 because they're vertical from each other. And there you go. We're going to do one more example here. So they give us this picture. Now a lot of kids are going to panic and go, I have no idea what's going on. Take a moment, take a deep breath, and just start working with what you know. So if this is 90, we know that little square means 90. We could assume that this is 90 because they are directly across from each other. They're vertical. Now here's where it can get real tricky. If you look here at this green line, do you see how if this is 90 and this is also, they're lying on the same line, that this giant angle here would also be 90, because 90 and 90 make 180. So this and this 90 here are supplementary. So that means 25 plus this is going to give us 90. Now this can get tricky. I'm going to say that again. This is 90. They already told us that. These two angles put together are going to be 90 because they're going to add up to 180. Now if this angle is 90, that means 25 plus something is 90. So this mystery angle is going to be 65 because these two add up to 90. You can double check that these three angles now will add up to 180. That's where it can get a little tricky. From here, we can say that this red angle and this red angle are vertical. They're directly across from each other at an intersection, and that's going to be 65. Now we have this other angle here that we don't know about, but we could say it's vertical to that 25. So that means it's also 25. We could have also said if this is 90, these are going to add up to 90, and you could have done it that way because they do add up to 90. So that's how you figure out some unknown angle measurements when they just give you a little bit of information. I hope this helps. Best of luck to you.